drama here today. We have the lovely Laura Solomon with Advanced Treatment Center here to talk all about work that she is so passionate about. So, let's have you just introduce yourself and what you do.
So I am, before anything else, I'm a wife and a mother of 9 children. What do they say? I'm a Chaldean man's dream. I have 8 sons and a daughter.
Wow.
And I got into this because we have one son who about 8 years ago we found out was using everything. And he's been in recovery for, it'll be, I think, 9 years this month. And it's been a blessing. But we saw the destruction it had on, well, him, but certainly it's a family problem. And so I started doing this to be able to help other families not have to go through what we went through to get him clean.
Well, I'm so happy to hear he's doing well.
Right.
And tell us a little bit more about what you do, just so the audience can
Right.
learn.
So Advanced Treatment Center, we have 2 sides of the practice. One is opiate detox. So people who are addicted or dependent to heroin, which is actually fentanyl, pain pills, which is actually fentanyl, people who are ready to be done with methadone and Suboxone, which are medically assisted treatments, and Kratom, surprisingly enough, which is for sale at every smoke shop and gas station, is highly addictive.
Wow.
Kratom?
Kratom.
What is it? What does it do? What is it supposed to do?
It's supposed to give you the same euphoria and feeling that heroin or fentanyl gives. And it is perfectly legal and for sale
Why?
everywhere.
Why is it legal?
I'm not sure. Not sure, but it is 20% of our patients come to us to get off of it. It's really insidious. It starts off as, hey, it's for sale at, Sunoco, and then it ends up being a torture. So, and something you can't just get off of. So all of those products are things that you can't just get off of.
Wow.
Right. So what we do is our patients come to us to sleep through withdrawals. The 2 hardest parts about opiates are the withdrawals and the cravings. So they sleep through the withdrawals, and then we give them something called Vivitrol, which is a once a month.
Take a step back. You can't just say they sleep through the withdrawals, because it's you're inducing the sleep, right? So talk about that and that process and how it is so helpful to the patient themselves.
So Dr. Aronoff, Julia Aronoff, is a board-certified anesthesiologist, and we are in a hospital. So the patients come to us on day 1. They have all their labs and testing and counseling. On day 2, she puts them under IV sedation. So it's like if you have a root canal or a wisdom tooth, it's like a twilight sedation.
Mm-hmm.
They're never out or intubated. Well, while they're under sedation, she uses medications that are tailored for their specific situation. And those medications reverse the opiate off the receptors so that they go through the withdrawals while they're asleep. They don't remember it. And then they can get immediately onto Vivitrol, which is the 28-day blocker in your hip that makes it so that you have no desire for opiates.
Really?
Wow.
Okay, so go ahead and finish your thought that you were talking through before.
So we have that side of the practice, and then the patients stay with us for 2 more days in the hospital. Any symptoms they have, we manage with medication, and the nurses take care of them, and then they're good to go. The other side of our practice is IV ketamine therapy, which is for people with depression, chronic pain, and PTSD. So that's a completely separate thing, but we do that too.
So it's what I think I heard was that it's a 4-day thing, or it's a 28-day and then 4 days.
No, it's 4 days, and then the shot lasts 28 days.
Oh, it's one shot that lasts 28
Yep.
days. Oh, it's
And
not
then,
a shot every day for 28
no,
days. Okay.
It's one injection that lasts 28 days. They have no cravings.
They're gone.
They're gone. They're back to
living
their life.
Okay.
Right.
And they will not crave or should not crave opioids at that
Correct.
point. Oh, wow.
How do they feel? Tell us about like the feedback that you get from the patients.
So that's a good question. for the most part, what they try to do, what we encourage them to do is think, what would your life be like if you tried to get off these things yourself? And because most everything is fentanyl, it's just brutal, like stomach flu times 100, brutal. And so people are using opiates not to get high anymore. They're just using them because if they don't, they'll be violently ill.
Wow.
They're taking them really to feel normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sad.
So how do they feel after? Anyone who tells you that it's painless and you'll feel nothing and it's a magic trick, that's just a lie. People feel weak and exhausted. They have some mild symptoms, but we give them medication to address those mild symptoms, and the symptoms pass easily.
Okay, what are the symptoms?
Mostly restless leg,
Wow.
chills, and difficulty sleeping. But I would say 99% of the patients say that we get them through the hardest part, and our feedback is like, you saved my life.
Yeah.
Like that's the text we get, you saved my life, because everybody knows fentanyl ends in death or incarceration.
Wow.
And we see, I was sharing before, we see one Chaldean patient a week.
My goodness.
50 weeks a year.
Wow.
Really, it is very common in the community, and it's not Chaldean community. We see patients, 10 patients a week from all over the country. And, but in smaller communities, it's such a stigma, drug addiction.
Of course, yeah.
I'm Jewish, and nobody has domestic violence, nobody has alcoholism, of course there's no drugs. Meanwhile, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's in every community. So the reason why I'm passionate about this, in addition to living in West Bloomfield for 30 years, I have Chaldean family, Chaldean friends. We see so many patients who come to us who are Chaldean who say, I'm here this week because so-and-so died.
Oh my goodness.
And we can't, I don't care what show there is available, I'll be there, because we have to stop this in all of our communities.
Yeah. So many points we need to discuss.
Yes,
like,
I'm ready.
I love it.
I'm ready.
I love your passion, and we're just so grateful because I feel like you're such an amazing advocate for this.
Okay.
And I can tell that you're really changing lives there. So, okay, let's talk about like the root of why someone, a Chaldean man or a young man in our community or woman would like start taking this.
When we do social work intake, what we learn is that for the most part, people do it because they just try something. It starts off recreationally. It also starts off because people use opiates to numb physical or emotional pain. Some patients come to us because they had an injury, an accident, or a surgery. Their doctor writes them Norco or they write them Percocet, they write them something, and the doctors write it and it catches up with the patient and they just can't get off of it. So that's some patients. Then we see the other side of the patient population, which is a buddy said, hey, I got these blues, you want to try it? And they try it and they feel euphoric and it's exciting. Well, it's exciting for the first couple times you take it, and then after that it's not so exciting anymore because you just can't stop taking it. And then it's not a real pill, it's fentanyl, and then you really can't stop taking it.
Such a tragedy.
Yes.
How does fentanyl compare to like heroin or morphine or?
Well, it's interesting because when I'm 60, so when I was growing up, like the stigma of like a heroin addict was like somebody slumped in a corner in the dark with a needle. It's not like that. We have patients that put heroin in smoothies.
Oh my gosh.
Snort it, shoot it. There's a lot of different ways. Teas.
Wow.
If it's Kratom, they're drinking liquid. They're mixing it into things. There's a lot of different ways that you can administer this product.
Yeah.
And for the most part, nobody says they're doing it for fun. They're doing it because if they don't do it, they'll be sick.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
So that's how they start. But then, to the moms out there, you say your son's in recovery. It's been 8 years or so,
Thank
or
God,
8 or 9 years. what were the signs? How did you get him help? What were the steps that you helped him go through to say, hey, I need to make a change in my life?
So his situation was a little bit different. I can't really compare it to that. He opened up to us and told us what was going on, so it was a little bit easier. But the patients that we see, again, they're scared to tell their parents because they think their mothers will have like a heart attack if they know. But as a parent, I would say trust your gut. You know your kids. You know your grown adults, let's call it. You know your 21 and 28-year-old sons, if they're acting different, if they're blowing through money right and left. The average habit that people spend on opiates is $300 a day. Imagine having that kind of income just flowing in and out. Are things missing from the house? Are there things that have been stolen? Are they burning through their checks? Are they coming up with weird reasons why they need money? Because remember that, you know, $100 a day is $36,000 a year. $200 a day is $72,000 a year. That's a lot of money to burn through. So that's a big red flag. Yeah.
That's true.
But so then the parent figures it out. What can the parent do other than try to shame the kid into getting help?
So I don't believe in shame. I believe that it's a conversation that you have. Listen, I love you. Whatever you're doing, I can see it. You can tell me you're not doing anything, but it's pretty obvious to me and to your brothers and sisters. A lot of ethnic families get their siblings involved. In the Chaldean community, we don't see the parents. We see the brothers bring their...
I love that.
Yeah, we see the brothers bring their brothers and sisters in to see us. We see a lot of family involvement, which is super important. Shaming them, it doesn't help. They're already ashamed. They already feel like I have screwed up and it's irreparable. They're scared it'll never get better and it'll only get worse and they'll be dead. They're terrified. So really, it's the most important thing is, honey, I can see it. I know you're doing it. It's okay. Really, now it's about self-preservation. So what are we going to do now? They don't have to come to Advanced Rapid Detox. They don't. They can go anywhere and get help. But you got to do something. It isn't just like, I'm not out here to advocate just for what we do. What we do is great. We're one solution. There's a lot of solutions, but they've got to do something because the choice is death or legal trouble.
How many people die from drug overdose?
That is, I got a great visual yesterday. The University of Michigan football stadium holds 130,000 people. That's how many people died of fentanyl overdoses in the United States last year. A full Michigan stadium. If that gives you a visual.
Wow.
Just fentanyl, that's how many. So if you've ever been to a Michigan game, that's how many people died last year.
That's terrible.
But so fentanyl, you say just fentanyl, but earlier you said almost everything is fentanyl now that you're buying on the streets, right? So can you just paint that picture as you did for us before we started rolling?
So there are legal pain pills that Dr. Jones writes for you when you have a back problem or a hip replacement. Okay. People are under the assumption that when they're buying pills from someone, that's what they're buying. But unless it's your prescription coming from your doctor, it's
buying pills of a certain kind of pill.
Well, usually Percocet. That's the big one. Oxy, Roxy, and Percocet are the big ones. And in our community, it's blues. Blues. Okay.
It's Viagra, though.
No, not those blues.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Not those blues.
Gotcha.
The other blues.
Okay.
So they're buying those, and they think that those pills are actually coming from grandma's prescription. Well, they're not. They're coming from a dealer, and as I was explaining to you before, the dealer makes a batch, a paste. That paste has fentanyl and whatever they can get their hands on
To cut it or
to
mix
cut
it.
it.
Yeah.
Right. So they'll put in MDMA, PCP.
Because if they don't cut it, they're going to kill everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And mostly they put cocaine and crystal meth in. Why? Because the fentanyl puts you to sleep. Something's got to keep you awake, so they're going to put meth in to give you a little, or coke,
And
a
the
little
fentanyl's
boost.
so cheap that they could cut it with cocaine
Anything.
and still make a fortune.
Right. So ready? They take that batch. You're dealer number one. You call and you say, I want some blues. He takes it and he mixes a little blue in and puts it in that mold and presses it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now there's a handful of pills.
There we go.
Or a bottle.
Next
whatever.
dealer calls and says, I want Adderall. They take that same batch of fentanyl mixed with
Change the
whatever,
color.
Wow.
change the color, there's your Adderall.
Wow.
And a common one, a super common one that has killed in our city, I can think of 6 young adult men right off the top.
You're saying city. You're talking
I'm
about
just talking about West
Bloomfield.
Bloomfield.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just talking about my sons. I have 8 sons and a daughter. My sons' friends, I can think of 10 of them.
Wow.
Then they want Xanax. The dealer wants Xanax.
10 that died.
Dead.
They're dead.
Dead. Yeah.
So terrible.
They
What was
mix-
the one that you said was common with them?
Xanax.
Okay.
And so they make a batch of that same paste, stamp it into a yellow Xanax,
Mm-hmm.
and there you go.
So they're almost better off just going to the doctor and getting Xanax.
But you can't get it
You
because
can't
the
get it
doctors
anymore?
don't write benzos.
They don't write them anymore.
Not
What's
really.
a benzo?
Xanax is a benzo.
Why is it called benzo? It's a Xanax.
Benzodiazepine
Yeah.
is the label of drugs.
Oh, okay.
So who are they prescribing Xanax to?
I mean, listen, I'm a 60-year-old woman who has a panic attack. They'll write me some Xanax, but they'll
Yeah.
write me 30 a month.
Yeah.
30 a month. If it's fentanyl,
Drug
people
dealer
take
can't
10
make
of
no
those.
money.
You can't make
Oh,
any
right.
money.
Yeah.
You can
Oh.
take 10 pills at a time.
I was just saying, like, if they went to the doctor, at least they're getting, like, the real
For sure, but the
thing.
doctors won't write them.
Okay.
I mean, they'll write them, but it's so... If 28-year-old guy comes in and says, hey, doc, can I have some Xanny?
Yeah.
He's not going to write him anything.
Yeah.
No.
And if he does,
I'm
it's
sorry.
not going to be. There's not going to be a
Tell him, get out
refill.
of here right away.
Right,
Yeah.
right. They're not going to give him anything.
Yeah. So let's talk more about which age group that you think is most at risk, and what would you like the audience to know if they know anyone that might be struggling with this?
The age group we see most is 21 to 30-year-old men. Now, that's not to say there's not women who are on it, and it's not to say there's not people older and younger. But for the most part, it's young men. I think the most important thing is maybe mom can't get to them,
Yeah.
but if you're a guy, you know what one of your friends are doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know.
That's true.
Like I said, I have one of my sons who's 29. He saw one of his buddies have a bunch of blues, and he said to him, those are not real, you know, those are fake and pressed. And the guy was like, yeah, okay. And he was dead the next day.
Such a tragedy.
These young men know that their friends and their brothers are doing it.
Yeah.
The real way to save somebody is to say to your friend, don't be scared of them. Say to them,
Yeah.
hey, that is going to kill you. Let's do something.
Yeah.
I have a young guy who I want to give a ton of credit to because he's Chaldean and he's going to watch this.
Yay.
He was doing all of this, and one of my sons said to him, this is going to kill you. And he finally, it got through to him, and he listened, and he's clean, and thank God, so well, and inspires other people.
Good.
It really, we have to yell about it. The stigma of mental health and drug addiction in ethnic communities, people are scared to talk about it. We can't be scared unless you want to bury people.
Yeah.
We can't be scared. We have to talk about it. It has to be an open dialogue. We are as sick as our secrets.
And we mentioned earlier that one of the most watched video from Keeping Up with the Chaldeans was the opioid panel. So clearly it is something that's on people's minds and
It should
interests.
be. Yes.
Well, yeah, because it touches more than just our community. Like
Yeah.
that's
oh,
something
for
that
sure.
True.
branched out to every community.
I mean, we're here, thank God we're here, but we see patients, 500 patients a year from all over the whole country, Alabama, Alaska, you know, rich, poor, black, white. It doesn't
discriminate.
No, it doesn't discriminate.
Yeah.
You brought up the post on social before we started talking, the colorful.
Oh yeah, so the rainbow.
Right, that has been super popular due to the little cute colors. You know, I think any way
what
to
are they trying to pass that off as, though, is the question. Like,
I think it makes, like, so if it's a 13-year-old kid, as an example, he's not going to really get a Percocet from somebody, but he might find the rainbow fentanyl more appealing, like sweet tarts.
Yeah.
And when you look at other drugs,
so they're just tricking these kids into taking it and hooking them on. This is intended to expand their audience, expand their customer base.
Early homicide. Yeah.
So whoever is in the business of pushing these things is a cold-blooded killer.
For sure. And there is a lot of legislation out there about fentanyl homicide. Mm-hmm. So what is happening is all of these 136,000 people who died last year, their families are coming out and saying, this isn't a drug dealer. This is a killer.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he should be prosecuted as a murderer.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, have they made progress in finding, like, who's making them, like, going to their warehouses? Or
a lot of the mixes come from the dark web.
Okay.
You can literally, I'm not, like, giving you a tutorial, but, I mean, you can literally go on the dark web. I had a patient once who was sitting in my office, sleeping, nodded off. Her purse was open. She had money and a box of pills with her name on it. And she said, these just come to my door. Just fentanyl just arrives at her house.
Yeah.
And how does she make payment?
On a credit card or a...
These are mailed. These are shipped.
Some of them, sure.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you can buy them. But then again, you can also go to Sunoco on the Pontiac Trail in Orchard Lake and buy Kratom and be just like that.
That gas station is selling Kratom?
Every gas station sells Kratom. Every smoke shop sells Kratom. Every smoke shop has a lit, blinking thing that says Kratom.
What is Kratom?
Really?
Like
it's a herbal thing but so is heroin. Heroin's an herbal thing.
Wow.
Is it like a tablet, Kratom?
No, Kratom is like a powder, a tea, a capsule, a tincture. There's ways to do it, just like everything else.
Wow.
So it's big business. Is it just to get them through, like, until they score their fentanyl, or
I don't know.
Or
most people who do Kratom just do Kratom,
really?
And people who do fentanyl, because fentanyl's so strong that you can't just not do it.
So Kratom is going to kill these people too?
I don't think it has the same potential to kill you. I think it has more
just to get you high.
Just to get you not sick, because no one's getting high per se.
What do you mean not sick? Like so Kratom, you start on Kratom, and then you try to stop Kratom, and then you start getting sick.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Really?
Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Like people say they want to like literally like crawl out of their skin.
Oh my
It's
from Kratom.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, listen, maybe you could use it recreationally and it's manageable. I can't say that it's not because I have no personal experience with it, but it's a volume building product, meaning, people say, well, I started off and it was just, I tried it and it.
Someone said
and
it would.
Then we had a patient last week, he was spending $3,000 a month on it.
Wow.
A Kratom?
Kratom, yeah.
Wow. That's bizarre.
Liquid tincture Kratom, $3,000 a month.
What other signs? You said that you may be able to tell if someone's spending a lot of money. What do they look like, or what do they sound like?
So a lot of people are super functional, and you can't tell at all.
Yeah.
Let's give them that. Dilated pupils.
Okay.
If the fentanyl has meth in it, they have pick marks.
Okay.
Track marks, which that's a common thing. But then again, if you have track marks, yeah.
But you said that they don't do heroin. Well,
some people do. Some people shoot up. Some people just take it in a pill.
Mm-hmm.
You can
They crush it and they snort it.
snort it, right? A lot of that, like this thing, you know.
She's got a little bit of that today.
Yeah, well, obviously,
A little under the weather.
obviously, and the dilated.
She says
pupils,
she's
right?
feeling under the weather.
Guys!
Yeah.
But you know, I would say that there isn't, you know, most people who are using know how to pass too.
Yeah.
But again, it isn't about the visuals. Somebody knows they're doing it,
Okay.
and they're afraid. If I know you're doing it, I'm going to be like, hey, I'm calling you out to save your life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody, God willing, has a friend who's willing to call them out and save their life, or a brother, or some.
And so
people.
if you're that friend out there, call them out.
Call them out,
Why
get them
not?
help.
And they could just, so calling them out is not going to be, I mean, that's the first step, right? So what are the rest of the steps?
Well, there's. Let me just tell you a tiny little
Sure.
backstory. My son, who was using, he used to go to my husband every day, and he'd say to my husband, "Can I have a 20? Can 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 I have a 20?" And my husband, just being the really,
Is Jeff here?
the great
So,
person,
so if I ask him for 20, he's going to give it to me?
for sure.
Jeff, I need $20.
You know what? I gotta tell you, he would give it to you.
I'll be your 10th child.
You know what? He is like a cash machine. He's fabulous. And
awesome.
so he'd hand our son 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. So
Not thinking, though.
not,
Yeah.
listen, we got 9 kids. We're just,
Right, yeah.
we're on autopilot.
So, he was like relieved it was just 20.
Right. So I would say to the son, "What are you doing with all this 20s?" And he'd say, "I'm putting gas in my car." And I'm just going about my life.
I'm a
And
good
then-
mom. You know, my son wouldn't do that. So then,
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm so dumb. All right, so, and this before I worked here, granted. So one day, the brother above him comes to me and he says, "Mom, can I ask you a question?" I said, "What?" He said, I'm not allowed to swear. He said, "Are you stupid?"
you're allowed to swear.
No, I'm not going to swear.
Well, you don't want to swear, but you can.
I will not.
This is our show. You can do whatever you
He
want.
said, "Are you fucking stupid?"
Yeah.
And I said, maybe. Why?
Oh, yeah, okay.
And he said,
Maybe, she says.
"Do you think that all those 20s, where do you think they're going?"
Oh, jeez.
And I said, "Well, he's
Gas.
putting gas in his
Yes.
car." And he said, "Mom, the high school is a mile from the house.
Mhm.
He's not using it for gas. He's using it for drugs." And I was like, shocker. Okay, that's the brother that called him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And that's the brother who saved his life. Thank
Oh,
God.
wow.
But my point
What's the
is,
brother that saved his life's name? The
I
lifesaver.
know this brother, and if I say it,
Oh,
Yeah.
I
someone's
will
getting
get-
an ass kicking.
I will get,
I
I
want some privacy.
mhm,
All right.
yes. So
Thank you, brother, for saving.
he's the best.
Other brothers
Well, they're
have.
all, I have all good
Thank
sons, thank God. But my point is that it really does require that person who knows to
Okay.
tell the truth
Okay.
and get help. So your question was, how do we get help?
Correct.
So,
As the one calling them out.
right. There's many ways to get help. There's treatment centers everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Maple Grove in West Bloomfield is an excellent treatment center. I do a lot of volunteer work for them. They're great. There are treatment centers who do what we do, sedation detox. There are counselors who specialize in addiction. There are Suboxone clinics and methadone clinics. I'm not a big proponent of Suboxone and methadone. Those are replacements, but anything's better than fentanyl.
Dying, yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
While they figure it out, if that's
Go
still,
somewhere,
yeah,
do
go somewhere.
something. So, you know, in our practice, we have 3 ladies on the phone who answer the phone all the time, and we don't just help people who come to us. People will call us and say, "What do I do?" And
Yeah.
we'll say, "Okay, maybe you're not a candidate to come here, but let's help you do something
Mhm.
to avoid a funeral."
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So you said something about you volunteering, right?
Mhm.
What can our viewers do to volunteer? Like, what would they have to do to figure out how to volunteer and where to volunteer? Or do you have some information for them so that they can be volunteers and can help this
Well,
cause?
you have to have the experience with substance use disorder in order to volunteer in a substance disorder forum.
Yeah.
So like because of my experience with my son, well, I could go to Maple Grove and talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Any experience you have with anything, somebody needs to hear about it. And again, this is about talking about everything above a whisper so that it saves someone's life.
Right. So volunteering isn't like a food bank where you can walk in, anyone can walk in and help do something.
No, I don't think so.
So there's nothing like these clinics and they don't need any help with
I don't know. I
Okay,
mean,
okay.
as far as we're concerned, like in our practice,
Mm-hmm.
most of our past patients volunteer to talk to the next guy. So with
Gotcha.
our practice, 500 people a year say, please give somebody my name and number if they want to talk to a guy who's
nice.
been here.
Nice.
That's their way of giving back.
I had 2 questions for you. One is, so tell us about someone that, they're 2 to 3 months after treatment. Like, how is life looking for them?
So I guess the one I would tell you about would be one of my patients. His wife called. He's 36 years old. Super nice couple, married, 2 kids, and he had not been not high since he was 15 years
Oh my
old.
God.
Wow.
He came to us obliterated high. I mean, just, he couldn't have passed for straight.
Yeah.
No way.
Oh, does he have a job?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And a wife who's wonderful and professional, and 2 beautiful children, and live in this area.
Wow.
And they just went all in. They came to us, and my husband and I just went last month to his 1-year clean anniversary.
Amazing.
They had a big party for him at Bravo. His kids were there. We got him gifts that say like sober AF and
I love
just
that.
like fun gifts.
Yeah.
It's the first time as an adult, as 21 years he had not been clean.
Wow.
That's insane.
And his marriage was almost over. His life was, he would have been dead for sure.
Oh my God.
And thank God a million times his marriage is renovated.
Good.
He is active in church. He is, his kids are so proud. He inspires all of our other patients.
Oh,
so what
amazing.
we get to see
Yeah.
at the 3-month, 6-month, 1 year,
Yeah.
and I've been here 6 years.
Yeah.
So I talk to patients who have been here 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and their lives are normal.
Yeah.
And everybody deserves to have a normal life.
I love that. Is that your mission? To
My
inspire
mission is less dead people.
Mm.
That's all I got.
I love that.
Are there lasting side effects to doing those kinds of drugs for an extended period of time?
So I am not a medical professional.
Right, right.
I couldn't tell you the biological, ramifications of having used. I would say what I see is the psychological ramifications of having used. People feel like I've done so much and damaged so many that I'm heartbroken. How am I ever going to fix this?
Mhm.
That's mostly
Like a
what we
helpless,
see.
hopeless feeling.
Hopeless, right. But what they find is that they catch up very quick. They make
Nice.
amends. They do the right thing.
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
help
that-
other people. They save other people's lives. I mean,
Yeah.
they catch up very quickly. And the financial ruin that they have put themselves in, if you're spending $100, $200, $300 a day, and then one day you don't spend that,
Mhm.
that you can make up that money quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
So we see patients who have blown all that money, and then a year later they send me a picture in I'm trying to think of what kind of car that patient sent me,
Mhm.
Maybach.
Probably not even his. He stole
No,
it.
no, he didn't steal it. He sent
Well,
me
he
a
got
picture.
good at stealing.
He
Oh,
sent me
no,
a
I'm kidding.
picture in a Maybach.
God bless him.
Like, here I am.
Wow.
And I said, what is that car? I don't know
Yeah,
cars.
yeah.
And he said, this isn't a car, honey. This is dope money.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So he's selling weed.
No, he's working.
Oh, sorry.
He's an attorney.
Oh
God
my
bless him.
goodness.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, we see all kinds of success stories and babies, and we feel like the
Yeah.
sober grandmas. Like,
love that.
being able to see people have a life.
Can you talk about like the success rate of the
Yes.
treatment that you offer?
So traditional rehabs, I'm giving them credit for what they do, have about a 5% success rate long term.
That's it?
Well, that's traditional.
Okay.
Because people have trouble getting through the withdrawals, and then they have cravings after.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't address the issues that got them to using in the first place. Our patients at the 5-year mark, our out data shows that they're clean 85% of the time at the 5-year mark. Why? Because they got through withdrawals, they have the Vivitrol on board so that they don't have cravings, and they get to the root cause of why they started to use in the first place to address that so that they don't have to numb out their emotions.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And for a lot of people, the use is from trauma. Something happened, and the word trauma, it could be a big T or a little t.
Mm-hmm.
What's a trauma to you might not be a trauma to you, but for the person experiencing trauma, and I'm a certified trauma specialist.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's so exciting. What we learn is that people don't know how to deal with their emotions, so they numb them out.
Yeah. How do you feel about like psilocybin mushrooms for?
So we get asked that 100 times a week. I know nothing.
Okay.
I think that anything that helps is a good thing.
Yeah.
So we get asked a lot about weed and mushrooms and ibogaine and ayahuasca. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, a lot of that's unregulated,
Yeah.
but if it's not going to kill you and it brings you relief, do
Yeah.
whatever you're going to do.
Yeah.
But just don't do something that'll kill you.
Yeah. My aunt has a quote that I really like. She says, "Sober is the best high."
Thank you. Thank you. I get asked all the
being
time.
sober.
Yeah, I mean, I get asked all the time, like, what are you on? And I'm like, I am on, like, life.
Yeah.
Right. I am blessed.
Yeah. I love, me personally, I'm very holistic. I don't like to put any pharmaceuticals
Good.
in because these companies just want to make money and then all these other things end up happening.
Right.
But, okay, so Anthony, do we have any other questions?
So we wrap up, and I don't know if there's something that we missed that you want to share with the audience, or maybe a pitch to the audience. We usually close out a show with a question: what does it mean to you to be Chaldean? But so in this case, before you answer that, if there's anything that we may have not mentioned that you want to talk about.
Well, what does it mean to me to be Chaldean? So that's a tricky one.
Yeah.
I grew up with Chaldeans. I've worked with Chaldeans, and my daughter-in-law is Chaldean.
Yep.
And we got to do the thing. We got to do that 2 weeks ago.
Well, actually.
Thank you
Where
so
was
much.
the wedding?
Wabik,
Wabik,
and
okay.
he married the best person ever with the greatest family.
That's so
You know
sweet.
her dad. It's
Yep, Captain Lou.
Captain Lou.
There's two Captain Lou's. That one says he's the original, and the other says he's the original.
Whatever.
So, yeah.
We know the truth.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate to be have a Chaldean family. And what did we miss? I would say that the most important thing is whatever the issue is, whether it's domestic abuse, alcohol, drug addiction, whatever it is, talk about it. Don't be scared of it.
Yeah.
Speak about it in a way that is productive, because by not talking about it, it's really keeping it a secret, which doesn't help anyone. And our goal as a community is to build each other up, and there's no shame.
Yeah.
There is no shame. Things happen, and we can only get better if we help each other fix it.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Thanks for sharing the story. Thanks for hopefully you've saved some lives today, and if people want to get a hold of you to ask you some questions, is there an easy way to reach out?
Yeah,
It was up there.
It was up
before.
there.
Freddie's got it up there now.
so-
My
there's
cell
the phone
phone.
number.
Yeah,
There.
so that's my cell phone.
Okay.
You can call me anytime. You can log on to our website and read about it. You're welcome to.
And all that information is going to be in the description below.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, we're just happy to help. And again, it doesn't have to be us. We're happy to send you anywhere to do anything as long as we can help you solve the
Save a
problem.
life.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and thank you.
We're signing off.